One of the privileges of being me and living where I live is that I get to choose whether I pay for a movie or I don't. Since 2011, I chose mostly not to pay when it comes to Hollywood movies, and it was one of those decisions that I still take pride in, for Hollywood is a cesspool of insanity. Let's explore. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now, as I'm sure all of you know by now, Hollywood actors who make more money in a week than any of us in 5 years are feeling oppressed these days, as it dawns on them that the most powerful office on earth is going to be occupied by someone who simply doesn't give a shit about what they believe. In the last couple of days, the face of triggered, mindless, out of touch with reality celebrities has become Meryl Streep, who, for some reason, genuinely thinks she matters. She doesn't. But her attitude does represent a general and generalized mindset amongst the so-called elite, even though these people aren't really elite in any traditional sense. I mean, they're not the smartest of the bunch by any imagination, as we'll see in Meryl Streep's speech. They're not the wealthiest of the bunch, again, not even by a long shot. I mean, Meryl Streep is worth around $65 million. Now, that might seem a lot, but one of the low-tier rock stars, Eddie Vedder, is worth $80 million. George Michael is worth $200 million. Ozzy Osbourne is worth $220 million after being through a nasty divorce. And mind you, Meryl Streep is one of the wealthy bunch in Hollywood. So, as I was saying, these folks aren't the smartest, aren't the richest, aren't the most famous, and aren't the most talented either. So the idea of them thinking that everyone should give a damn about what they think outside of their niche of expertise is laughable per se. Now, mind you, this doesn't mean that they don't deserve their wealth. Of course they do. They didn't steal from anyone. They made their shekels fair and square by millions upon millions of people voluntarily giving them shekels in return to seeing them perform on the big screen. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of those people who whines about superior pay, or as some British politicians tend to do. We'll talk about that idiot in the next episode. But what I am saying is that it is insane how important actors really think they are, especially after being proven beyond reasonable doubt by the market that they're not. Because remember, celebrities made viral videos begging people not to vote for Trump. They failed. Then they made another video begging the electors not to vote for Trump. They failed. They made another video begging the press to refuse to legitimize what all normal people had already legitimized. They failed. Even NBC is coming to terms with it. So it's the mindset of these glorified puppets that I'm criticizing here, not their general activity as actors. I feel that I need to make this distinction because we've grown accustomed to this nasty style of debate where we not only criticize someone's ideas, but strive to tear them down entirely as a person. Anyway, let's take a look at Meryl Streep's speech and dissect it.
I love you all, but you'll have to forgive me. I've lost my voice.
Okay, forgiveness granted.
In screaming and lamentation this weekend, and I have lost my mind sometime earlier this year, so
10 points for the half honesty. We were under the impression that you've lost your mind sometime in 2007-2008 when you started cheering for Obama, or somewhere between 2008 and 2015 when you couldn't be bothered to care about things you claim to care, but then you suddenly care about the exact same things now. Yeah, right. Anyway, carry on.
I have to read. Thank you, Hollywood Foreign Press. Just to pick up on what Hugh Laurie said, you and all of us in this room really belong to the most vilified segments in American society right now.
Oh, please, don't be so melodramatic. You're still not Black Lives Matter here. What are you trying to tell us here? Also, even if what you said were true, have you ever considered that maybe, just maybe, such a position isn't quite entirely unwarranted?
Think about it. Hollywood, foreigners, and the press.
Okay, I guess not. Carry on.
But who are we? And what is Hollywood anyway? It's just a bunch of people from other places. I was born and raised and educated in the public schools of New Jersey. Viola was born in a sharecropper's cabin in South Carolina, came up in Central Falls, Rhode Island. Sarah Paulson was born in Florida, raised by a single mom in Brooklyn. Sarah Jessica Parker was one of 7 or 8 kids from Ohio. Amy Adams was born in Vicenza, Veneto, Italy. And Natalie Portman was born in Jerusalem. Where are their birth certificates?
Oh, it's funny you say that. Speaking of Jerusalem, before asking their birth certificates, you might want to ask where Jerusalem is, Meryl. And I'm not joking. Your idol, Hussein Obama, instituted the policy that Jerusalem is nowhere. American citizens born in Jerusalem no longer have on their passports Jerusalem, Israel, but just Jerusalem. Amy Adams gets the privilege of being named as having been born in Vicenza, Italy, but not Natalie of Jerusalem, Israel. I bet you think your birth certificate joke is funny, but it really isn't. What is completely unfunny, though, is that you think you're being funny whilst kowtowing to the anti-civilization policy of pretending that Jerusalem is not in Israel. That is unfunny. Fucking degenerates. Anyway, carry on. Let's skip the birthplace presentations.
So Hollywood is crawling with outsiders and foreigners. And if we kick them all out, you'll have nothing to watch but football and mixed martial arts, which are not the arts.
You're saying it as if it's something bad, or that it is an either-or choice. But you're wrong, Mrs. Streep. Tens of millions, if not over 100 million of Americans live very well without watching the filth Hollywood is producing and without being hooked on football and mixed martial arts. It would seem that you're genuinely unaware how vast and, yes, diverse the world of entertainment is out there outside of the ever-shrinking Hollywood bubble. Amazing. Anyway, let's skip a bit when she goes straight to politics.
And there were many, many, many powerful performances this year that did exactly that. Breathtaking, compassionate work. But there was one performance this year that stunned me. It sank its hooks in my heart. Not because it was good. There was nothing good about it. But it was effective and it did its job. It made its intended audience laugh and show their teeth. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back.
You mean the way you sneer at the over 60 million people who voted for Trump, who most of them you outrank in privilege, power, and capacity to fight back? Because remember, it took almost 63 millions of them to deliver the much-needed kick in the teeth to the several dozens of you. So please get off the high horse with the whining about privilege and power and the capacity to fight back. Anyway, let's listen to this outstanding gem of utter hypocrisy.
It kind of broke my heart when I saw it, and I still can't get it out of my head because it wasn't in a movie. It was real life. And this instinct to humiliate, when it's modeled by someone in the public platform, by someone powerful, it filters down into everybody's life because it kind of gives permission for other people to do the same thing.
That's very interesting. I wonder where was Meryl Streep with this touchy-feely kind of discourse 8 years ago when Obama was doing this.
Well, I imagine the bowling alley has been just burned and closed down.
No, I've been practicing
Really?
bowling.
Really?
I bowled a 129.
Oh, no, that's very good. Yeah. Oh, that's very good, Mr. President.
It was like Special Olympics. It's like,
No, that...
it was like Special Olympics. It was like Special Olympics.
I guess that doesn't count because Hussein Obama was mocking an entire class of people, whereas when Trump mocks one particular handicapped individual, that counts because, well, actually, we don't know why that counts, but it matters because Meryl Streep says so, therefore, it must be true. But it gets a lot better. The instance in which Trump allegedly mocked a disabled reporter is fake news in and of itself. One of the fake news media outlets, that would be the Washington Post, pompously titled a few days ago, "Meryl Streep was right, Donald Trump did mock a disabled reporter." And as evidence, they provide this video.
So what happens is the Washington Post writes an article. And one of the paragraphs, it says, and by the way, this was right after September 11th. This was September 18th. And right after, sort of an amazing thing, right after a couple of good paragraphs, it's talking about northern New Jersey draws the prober's eye, written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This was 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction. 14 years ago, they did no retraction.
Interestingly enough, this is how Trump depicts anyone who mumbles when caught with a lie. Here's Trump doing the exact same thing when talking about Ted Cruz.
Somebody said, that's amazing. Every single debate, I heard Ted's a good debater. I said, he is a good debater, but he can't talk, okay? Bad talker. He's a good debater, bad talker. So he's over here. They asked him about waterboarding. They said, Senator Cruz, what do you think of waterboarding? I don't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about waterboarding because too controversial. And I'm saying to myself, they're chopping off heads. He doesn't want to talk about waterboarding.
Now, no one batted an eyelid when he did that about Cruz, but heaven forbid he applies the exact same standard of mockery to members of the lying press. Now, we can't have that, can't we? Now, this is getting better and better. Let's listen to some more.
Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose.
Oh, give me a fucking break and get a sense of perspective, you pretentious twat. Jesus Christ, where were you when Obama was helping Saudi Arabia to flatten Yemen? Violence brings violence when Trump is making a mean remark, but not when Obama brings the bombs to the table. Disrespect breeds disrespect when Trump mocks an individual, but not when Obama mocks entire classes of people, or when Hillary calls millions of people baskets of deplorables. Give me a fucking break. Besides, this business with disrespect is vacuous in and of itself. You're not automatically entitled to respect. Respect is earned, and it's also values dependent. Now, if you don't believe me, try going to Dearborn, Michigan, dressed like that, and see how much respect you get there, and then come back and tell us more about more disrespect. Sheesh.
Okay, go up with that thing. Okay, this brings me to the press. We need the principled press to hold power to account, to call them on the carpet for every outrage.
Okay, now back to real life. Where were you when the press was uncovering the fact that the Obama administration was prosecuting and persecuting whistleblowers like there's no tomorrow to levels that would make Bush cry? Where were you when the emails hit and the press refused to cover them? Where were you when the press pretended that if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor's speech never existed, when reality proved political rhetoric wrong? You see, this is why you are amongst the most hated institutions, because you try to spill over the bounds of your profession first and foremost, and when you do, you always, almost without exception, do it in just one way. It's okay to have biases and partisan preferences, we all have them, but it's not okay to pretend you don't have them. Get a contract with MSNBC or open your own outlet, and good luck in the market with airing your own biases. That's perfectly fine. But in the meantime, a lot more respect should be reserved for the fascist genocide denying extreme leftist outlet of the Young Turks. Why? Because at least they're honest about what they do. You see, the biggest problem with these celebrities is that they have lost the sense of place. I don't make comments about nuclear physics because I know nothing about nuclear physics. Same used to be true about actors too. They would refrain from comments about things they knew nothing about. But while the way of behaving themselves has changed with actors, it hasn't really changed with the general public, which still expects politics from politicians and entertainment from entertainers. And combining the two is an art that I'm afraid you are not mastering it the way George Carlin could do it. That is why you don't matter. Anyway, last portions.
That's why our founders enshrined the press and its freedoms in our Constitution. So I only ask the famously well-heeled Hollywood foreign press and all of us in our community to join me in supporting the Committee to Protect Journalists, because we're going to need them going forward, and they'll need us to safeguard the truth.
Now this is the most retarded portion of the speech by far. The idea that the Committee to Protect Journalists, which is an international organization, needs the vacuous, mindless, out-of-touch Hollywood celebrities to safeguard the truth is laughable in and of itself. I mean, I get it that Meryl Streep and her peers want to feel important. I really do get that. But at the end of the day, CPG is in a business that she can't possibly comprehend. Does she even know where Paraguay is on the map? I somehow doubt. But that's where CPJ became relevant 36 years ago when it advocated on the behalf of the journalist Alcibiades Gonzalez del Valle. For some reason, CPJ has been quite efficient in tracking and helping journalists under real threats in countries like Russia, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and other places where journalists are under legitimate threats and where freedom of expression is negotiable. What threats are the glorified bloggers of the leftist media masquerading as journalists are under now? The fact that Trump tweets and bypasses their networks of lies? Come on, give me a break. Anyway, last portion.
Once when I was standing around on the set one day, whining about something, we were going to work through supper or the long hours or whatever, Tommy Lee Jones said to me, "Isn't it such a privilege, Meryl, just to be an actor?" Yeah, it is. And we have to remind each other of the privilege and the responsibility of the act of empathy. We should all be very proud of the work Hollywood honors here tonight. As my friend, the dear departed Princess Leia, said to me once, "Take your broken heart, make it into art." Thank you for it.
Oh, it's interesting to note that she took care to include the obligatory privilege-checking ritual of the upper-middle-class left-wing pricks in the acting profession and the cathedral media. Now, I can already hear the typing, "Oh, come on, Lucian, why do you even bother with this topic?" And the answer is very simple. The next step must be the conquering of the culture. As Bill Whittle likes to say, Washington may be the biggest shark in the ocean, but the pop culture is the ocean. Now, normal people will probably never be able to conquer Hollywood, though I'd be glad to be proven wrong on that, but one doesn't have to do. Keeping their feet on the fire and their awareness that they're utterly disliked for several years is almost as good. But in addition to that, everyone listening to this should consider this. Stop giving shekels to Hollywood. This collection of filth that is Hollywood is at the end of the day a business, like any other business. Almost everything they do is about the bottom line. They made leftist movies because they were profitable. They will make movies for normal people when that will be profitable. Remember the Ghostbusters fiasco? That is how most of their filth needs to be treated, with contempt, disdain, and sneer. Make it know through the force of your dislike button and especially your wallet that you've had enough. And good for Trump for answering this with the exact amount of disdain needed. These vacuous cunts need to be put in their place. Your job is to act. That's your talent. Use it. Delivering partisan political speeches is simply not for you. As long as these kinds of people are continuously given the impression that their opinions are in any way more relevant than the political opinion of the weatherman, they'll continue to do it. This is why normal people should undermine their incentives to do so. Make it a career-ending proposal to come out politically. That's all I had to say. Thanks for watching.